Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We just wanted to do a quick video today, and hopefully we can get pretty good attention on this video because I think it's an interesting video that I have not seen anywhere. I'm sure other people have done this video, but it's not very common. It's not near as common as, say, like we've heard a lot on what's the difference between a comped pistol and a ported pistol and showing the differences in recoil. And of course there's 1,000 variations, and even in this video we're going to show you some variations that we can't quite give you an exact answer about which one's better, but we can give you some thoughts that might can help guide you to maybe help you make decisions on how you would like to port your gun. And that's kind of what we want to do. And I've been thinking on this a lot and trying to figure it out myself, and that's the reason. It's actually the very reason why I ported this pistol, was because I was more curious and I didn't know how much I would like it, but I'm very glad that I did that, even though it's more a curiosity thing and a testing thing to port this pistol. I'm glad I have. I think it's opened up a lot of doors and a lot of ideas for the future. And so let's talk about it. So the V porting, as in this Masterpiece, has very large V6 ports. And these ports are probably the same volume, if not more volume, than some V12 ported guns as far as port size, you know, per square inch of port, whatever you want to call it, square millimeter, whatever. You know, the size of the ports altogether, the volume of them probably would be larger than some V12 ported guns. But, and that, you know, that may have its advantages and disadvantages as well. You know, having more ports, they're smaller, maybe more advantage on, and it may be based off what kind of gun you got, right? But we're just going to talk about simply the V ports versus the vertical port system. And I want to share my thoughts on it. And I have to say that shooting both of these in the last two competitions, and that's one reason why I wanted to do it, is to kind of get a feel for them. And they're different systems, right? So I can't say that it's all the ports that are bringing out those differences. There's definitely other factors involved. But I want to share what I think based off shooting both these guns. And I do want to say that both these guns are shooting very similar in muzzle flip versus recoil into the hand, how much energy is felt in the hand and how much muzzle flip there is. They're very similar. There's a little bit of differences, and it's going to be kind of hard to communicate that with you. I'm going to show you a video showing these two shooting at high speed. Now in the video, when we do show it to you, if you've already seen it in this video or you're going to see it later on, I don't know where I'll put it yet, but when you see the video, I may put it in here twice, but when you see that video, this one I am shooting kind of just at speed. I actually I kept it at regular speed, and I think this one I sped up because I was shooting more for accuracy when I was shooting this one, but the shots were very similar, so I wanted to use those two clips. However, like I said, I was shooting this one a little bit slower and more for accuracy, and I was just shooting this one with a looser grip at more speed. So you can't really tell completely because my grip was probably slightly different in those scenarios. Anybody that the competition shoots, you know, sometimes you're going to tighten up your grip, you're going to focus, take your time on the trigger pulls, and sometimes you're so close to the target that you don't really care as much, and you'll just pull the trigger as fast as you can. You don't really worry about your grip so much. You're just trying to get to the next target, right? So those are a little bit different, but it'll give you kind of a basic idea of what's going on with the guns when I'm shooting them at speed, even though they're slightly different in the way they were shot at those moments. But watch the video. It's kind of interesting comparison between these two, and we probably show you the full screen version at the end of this video too. We might as well add that on there, but I will put it up here picture in picture while we're doing this as well. All right, so my thoughts on the V porting. I really do like the V porting. I think the V port has some advantages to let's go over some of the advantages I think you get out of V porting. One is I feel like maybe does a little bit better job of reducing because it's shooting gases horizontally. It may help reduce recoil sensation in the back of the hand slightly over the vertical ports. Very slightly though. Can't really tell that much, but that is one advantage I think it may give you. Also, guys, I mean, it's based off how big are these ports, how many ports, you know, what kind of gun is this, how vertical are the V ports and how horizontal are the V ports. That all that matters when it comes to kind of judging it against these other kind of ported systems, right? But another advantage to these V ports is it does keep the front sight fairly clean. I get very little soot on this front sight, although I still get some dirt on the front sight. It's very little, but being mostly all red dot guns doesn't really matter to me that much, right, guys? So that's kind of the advantages to the V-port system. I would say disadvantages are, I feel like you don't get as much performance as far as keeping the gun flat during recoil or during the shooting process. I don't think you get as much performance per port or per mass of gas ejecting from the barrel. You don't get quite as much performance on the muzzle flip performance-wise. And then I'll go into the pros of this. I feel like the vertical ports, and if you're looking into getting your gun ported and you have the option between the two, I would personally rather go with the vertical ports myself. And that's something on YouTube. I don't know if anybody's ever said that, but I just feel like visually, and I just thought of another advantage I need to cover real quick in a minute, but we'll cover that in a second. But visually speaking, I feel like this looks better. I feel like this is easier to clean. And I feel like that gas, the majority of the problem you have with handguns is you've got this amount of mass over your hand's here. So all this metal and weight mass going back and forth is wanting to pull the gun up. So you want as much of that gas to go vertically to where the gun is staying and pressing itself back to zero, keeping itself zeroed and keeping that red dot in line. And I feel like this is a better performing gun or better performing system per port or per square millimeter of port, right? This is just performing better for the size or the amount of gas you got exiting the gun. It's just going to perform better to keep that muzzle flat. And like I said, I think it's easier to clean. I think it's better, like this 4-port system that's less volume as this V6, I feel like does just as good, if not better, at keeping the muzzle flat. So I prefer this system. Another thing you won't hear talked about much if you're talking about, let's bring this out. So the P10C vertical ports, right? When you're using this in your maybe EDC, which I do EDC this gun sometimes, you are allowed to shoot from retention with this vertical port system. You can hold the gun sideways to your body and shoot the gun from retention and keep these ports shooting out to the side away from you, and you're good. Okay, sorry about the camera adjusting there. But the V-ported system, what you run into if you use this for EDC is whether you turn the gun this way or whether you turn the gun that way or whether it's right under you, you're always going to have some kind of gases coming up toward your face. So if I turn the gun this way, I've still got vertical gases coming up toward my face. So that's another thing I don't like about the V-ported system for EDC. And neither one of these guns are built for EDC, but we do shoot them in IDPA, and sometimes in IDPA you do shoot from retention. So in retention stages where I'd have to do that, I would feel more comfortable shooting this gun from retention because I'm able to shoot those gases one direction instead of shooting them two different directions, right? So it's a lot harder to figure out what do I do if I'm shooting this gun from retention, because now if I turn it this way or I turn it this way, or if I hold it straight, almost any way I can see down into the ports and gases are going to be coming at me no matter what I do. I think if I was to turn the gun far enough sideways like this, I would probably be pretty safe from getting hit with debris because most of your gases are going to come up like this and still be coming away from me. But I would have to turn the gun fairly extreme to keep it safe, almost completely sideways. So I prefer, excuse me guys, I prefer in EDC situations or for an EDC weapon, if you're going to port it, do the vertical ports because you can control where those gases are going a lot easier. There's a lot less angles to worry about in those situations. So what are we learning today? You know, just from my experience, what little it is, I do prefer the vertical ports over the V ports for several reasons. Easier to clean, I feel like. It's more performance per volume of gas extracted from the barrel. I feel like it looks better, in my opinion. I may be wrong, and everybody has a different opinion on that, but I do feel like it looks pretty good as far as that goes. I don't know why my camera's not focusing. Okay, so guys, let me know what you think below. Leave your opinions, your comments. Tell me if what I've said is maybe something new to you haven't thought about. And yeah, just share your thoughts and opinions on this. And tell me where you think I may be wrong, or maybe something I missed on this. But yeah, I just think there's several pros. And both these work great for performance. Both these ports systems work great. And we're not going to get into comps today because we have talked about that in the past. Like, this is just a slide comp, but we've got several guns that are comped as well, and that's a different set of thoughts when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, when it comes to these two systems, I think the vertical ports are better overall than the V-ported systems. Okay, guys, please like and subscribe. Please support the channel. Please let me know you enjoyed the video if you did. And God bless and have a great day, and we'll get back with you in more content soon.